Good day everyone, my name is Austin, welcome back to the only series on my channel, the Reddit series, because I'm a Reddit YouTuber. God, this intro. Anyways, today we are going to be looking at some rSlash because this is doing pretty well on my channel, the whole entire one video I've posted previous to this, so hope you guys enjoy, and let's see the crafty ways people have been destroying their enemies. Ex-girlfriend was a scammer, so I put her in the slammer. Bippity boppity boo, I destroyed her family too. Seems kind of familiar. Yeah, it is familiar because it's by the same guy who made that bippity boppity boo rhyme last time. Go watch that video. It's not as good as this one, but go watch it. Sorry about the length, but you'll need to know the details. Around that time that I got my first full-time job and finished college, I decided I was ready to venture out and start dating. I had heard about this amazing app through a few of my coworkers. It's a little thing called Tinder. So I decided to give it a shot. After about a week on the app, I finally matched with a woman who we will call Talia. Talia lived in a different city than I did, but the day we matched, she said she was visiting a cousin. We messaged through the app, and after verifying she was a real person through her Facebook and Instagram profiles, we exchanged phone numbers. She said she was employed full-time and had an apartment and her own car, and was somehow still single. We talked about 2 weeks on the phone, always at night after my shift at work, before we finally had a chance to meet when our schedules matched up. I drove my beat up 1996 Honda Civic to her town, spent that Friday night, I forget where we ate that night, and in the morning we had breakfast at the Waffle House. Talia did have her own apartment, however, she lived next door to her grandmother who I awkwardly had to meet the next morning. I ended up learning from Talia that her car was actually in her grandmother's name and that her apartment was in the name of her cousin. So she went so far to show me family portraits with her cousin and decided to talk about her abusive ex, and even shared with me how her laundry room was embarrassingly infested with flies and roaches. We officially changed our social media to dating that day. Keep in mind that this was my first relationship in almost 4 years, so I was excited. The scam. Talia told me that day that she had been fired from her work about a week ago but was way too embarrassed to tell me. I asked how that she kept up her bills, and she said that her grandma and dad had been helping her. Talia asked if I could help her make her car payment, which was due that weekend. I refused. She then explained that she could get a payday loan, which is banned in our state, and could put it into my checking account. I felt uneasy about it and asked if there was another way she could get the loan. Talia said that she couldn't use her grandma or dad's account because they had burned her in the past. I thought it was weird, but she started crying, so I called my bank, where I had an account since high school graduation, and opened a linked checking account. I gave Talia the new checking account number and the routing number. Talia contacted a payday loan company in Alabama. By Sunday morning, she had the funds in my linked checking account. Per our agreement, I gave her the money. Talia promised to repay the loan within 2 weeks. I had my reservations but went back home and back to work Monday. Talia called me on Wednesday and told me she had a new job. I asked if she had the payday loan squared away with her first paycheck. She said she did, but I still got charged $47 2 weeks after she set up the loan. I called my bank, called Talia to verify the loan was going through her, and terminated the charge form at the payday loan as I was not the signed person. Talia and I agreed to meet Memorial Day weekend 2 weeks later. She said that her dad had given her a check for the entire loan, about $1,800, and that she would deposit it into my bank near her. Like a fool, I let her deposit the check right before Memorial Day weekend. 2 weeks later, the payday loan company charged another $47 plus penalty fees and another $47. The $1,800 check bounced. Talia stopped answering her calls and blocked me on everything. I called my bank and informed them that I was a victim of fraud. Within hours, my main checking account, into which my paycheck had gone, my savings account with $800 saved for a new car, and the new account were closed. My best friend from college, we'll call him Clark, found Talia had 2 of every social media account, the one she shared with me and the one that she had a boyfriend. Her cousin from her family photos were actually her boyfriend since high school. Talia was almost 23. Her boyfriend, we'll call him Jason, was in prison. But from their social media posts, she was visiting him once a month minimum and had plans to marry him. I spent days trying to get back into my account and my money. One of the representatives from my bank and Clark, my mom, advised that I should press charges for fraud. My bank mailed me a copy of the bounced check for criminal investigation purposes, and it showed Jason's name, not Talia's father's name, as the owner of the check. That's when I decided to get revenge. The revenge. As I mentioned before, Tally's apartment had a minor infestation of roaches and flies in her laundry room. While I went through the legal agencies to pursue pressing charges of forgery on the check, fraud, etc., I found the name and phone number of Tally's apartment complex. I left a message for the apartment complex management that Talia and her grandmother both had filthy apartments. Within a week, Clark showed me that Talia had posted a request for temporary housing for her and her grandma since her parents wouldn't let her move in. Talia's payday loan company began calling me as Talia had given them my phone number instead of hers and they had not received payment yet. I was still reviewing my legal options at the time. One day I answered and notified the rep that Talia had fraudulently used my checking account. The rep who called me transferred me to their legal apartment who was very interested. It turned out that Talia's grandma and her father owed to the payday loan company. It wasn't a lot separately, but the payday loan company had enough evidence with my claim that Talia was the ringleader using her family's accounts. I turned over my evidence including Talia's text messages promising to pay, the copy of the bounced check, and my bank statements. By the end of the year, Talia was arrested on several charges. Her grandma and father were also arrested, but took pleas for lesser charges in exchange for turning over evidence on her. I didn't have to testify at the trial, but I kept informed. Talia's grandma had a minor heart attack when she was arrested, and a more significant one during the trial. I'm not sure if her grandma lived or died after the trial. Despite this, Talia went to prison for multiple counts and will serve more than a decade behind bars. Okay, yikes. That is a wild story. However, since there's two from this exact same poster, I do have my doubts. However, it is a good story nonetheless, and I can't take away from that. Illegally fire me and my coworkers? Enjoy the unemployment line. So I already posted this here, but wanted to update the title and other errors. This story took place around 10 years ago. Some of the details are a bit fuzzy, but I do remember many of the events and the people involved. The players. GM is your general manager, KM is your kitchen manager, KH is kind host, C my cousin, PO police officer. Here is a little bit of background. I was born with a condition called congenital nystagmus. To put it simply, my eyes move rapidly, preventing me from seeing things clearly. Basically, without my glasses, I'm legally blind. This is important for the story. Getting and renewing my driver's license is a major pain, involving multiple trips to the eye doctor and the DMV just for a restricted license. I had been working at this restaurant for about 2.5 years at this point. It was a nightmare of a Friday night and I was more than ready to go home. The new schedule had been posted that night, so I took pictures of the new and old schedule. You see, many employees had been written up or fired lately for coming to work late or not showing up. Their schedules were being changed without them knowing. I was preparing in the event that this happened to me. I say my see you tomorrows and head home. I come in the next day for my lunch shift. I think I was supposed to be there around 12 or 12:30. I go clock in and the computer is saying that I'm late and I need a manager override. I head to the office to get a manager. Hey, general manager's name, can you swipe me in? The computer is saying that I'm late. It's probably because you are. No, I was supposed to be here at this time. I step out of the office to look at the schedule. In bright red ink, I see that my schedule has been changed. I take out my phone and look at the picture I took the night before. Crap, I know what's about to go down. We proceed to argue, which gets the kitchen manager's attention. It had turned into a full-on screaming match. She comes to the office to sort this mess out. What's going on here? I proceed to tell her what's going on. Not again. Remember that she knows that this has been happening for weeks now. I show her my proof and she sides with me. We go clock me in. The general manager's not having this and follows. Hey, Jack, I'm still writing you up. Oh man, I lose my crap and curse her out on the floor. Don't bother clocking in. You're fired. Get out of my restaurant. If you set foot on the property, the police will be called and you will be charged for trespassing. This happened next to the bar. Many of the regulars and coworkers witnessed this go down. I continue my tirade and march out of the restaurant. Man, karma sometimes. My glasses fall off my face and I step on them. Kind host saw this and asked if I had my backups with me. No, I didn't. Okay, I would admit that I crossed the line at this point. I was really pissed and I had become personal. This woman had took away my livelihood, so I threw a few low blows. Karma did the right thing in putting me back in my place. In the end, it all worked out. Kind Host helps me get to my car and I call my cousin to bring my backup glasses from my apartment. Until then, I had to wait for C to get there with my glasses. Kind Host informs management of what's going on. That piece of crap general manager calls the police. I knew many of the local officers as they were regulars there. They arrive and I wave to them from the hood of my car. After a few minutes, they come over to me with general manager and Kind Host in tow. Hey Jack, we have to ask you to leave or we are going to trespass you. I explain the situation and show my license. Kind Host backs me up with the account of events. I can't drive without my glasses. Yes, my vision is that bad. The police officer agrees that I shouldn't be on the road and that I should stay until my cousin arrives. General manager is not happy and marches back inside. The officer sticks around until my cousin arrives. I inform my cousin about what happened and in the restaurant he goes. Police officer has to go get him as he is cursing the general manager out. I thank the officer for his kindness after they return and I'm on my way. The revenge. A week later, I'm working at the location a couple miles up the road. I had talked to the manager there, he was the manager that hired me, and told him what happened. He was more than happy to have me working for him. One day, the area director and district manager come in and see me. The three of us have become friendly over the years. They were wondering what I was doing at that location, so I tell them what went down. I'm now the 8th person to tell them the story. They tell me that they'll look into it. I get an evil idea. Hey, if you're gonna go look into that, I've got some information about general manager's name and you should know. The general manager had this habit of coming in and doing lineup, shift meeting, giving someone her card and leaving not to return till the end of her shift. They thank me for the information and leave. About a month later, I'm having a party, mostly coworkers that were off, with more coming later. At some point, everyone's phones start going off. The general manager had been fired and all her victims could have their jobs back if they wanted. Most of us had moved on at that point, and I tell those in attendance what I did. High fives all around. Moral of the story, normally I wouldn't say don't mess with the people who prepare your food, but I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is, if you're going to mess with someone, make it dang sure that they don't know where you hide the bodies. A few years later, there is a class action lawsuit against the restaurant. I was not a part of it as I had long moved on. Man, the OP really knew how to play with karma here. Like, he learned that karma works, so he ended up using it to his advantage. Good job to you. Alright guys, we're gonna end this episode off with a pretty short one. 500 for no damage. For some perspective, my manager was great and did what she could do to compensate me for what I did in the shop. When I was younger and living in California, I worked at a well-known sandwich shop, late 90s, and I had a coworker that refused to do his job by helping me with customers. When we weren't busy at all, leaving me to not only complete his work, but my own as well. For several months, I put 2 or more hours a night of unpaid overtime as we couldn't get it approved. So like anyone, I eventually got tired of it and decided my day off that I would make him pay for what he did and went into the store. At the grocery, I decided to purchase a 1-pound bag of sugar and proceed to pour it all around his gas cap, leaving the bag. Thinking that someone really had just dumped a bunch of sugar down his tank, he screams asking if anyone saw what happened, and of course no one saw me do it. So with no one being able to help him, he calls for a tow to the closest shop and they tell him it's $475 to get his tank dropped and flushed, which he pays $25 to the tow driver, all to find that nothing was wrong. And there you go guys, that's what you call a prank, but a useful prank. When people think there is harm but there really isn't any harm. And good job to you. Great way to end off the episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode nearly as much as I did, because I love making these because it entertains people and it's really fun to read these stories actually, and you know, my voice acting hopefully has improved since my first video. So once again, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you want to see future videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.